So it's lovely to see everybody, and welcome to our first edition of our beginners group that's going to be online. Thank you for coming along and joining us and giving it a go. I do know there were a lot of people that had some reservations about learning online. Now, what I'm going to do tonight is go through exactly how we're going to run the lessons, give you a bit of a tour of the content and also how we're going to play online, and then basically get into some of the content for tonight's lesson. Now, if you have basically gotten to this point, you've done the absolute minimum requirement. If you wanted to, you could just keep at this stage and watch me online every Monday at 6:30. Now, I do appreciate that there's some people who their Twitch feed might not be good enough. You might not actually even be able to see me at the moment. If this is you, there's a couple of things that I can suggest where you might be able to see me. First of all, if you press refresh on the top URL bar, that might just bring the screen to life a little bit and you might be able to see me. So this is if you've only got audio at this point. The other thing you could do if you find that there is a little bit of a time delay and things like that is that down the bottom right hand corner of your Twitch feed, there is a little cog that does change some settings. So what I'll do is I'll see if I can actually show you what that would look like. So just bear with me. So you should see a screen that looks something very similar to what I'm looking at the moment. I can see me. It's very daunting seeing myself here. But you've got this little cog here that you can click on, and when it's quality, what you could do is you could take it down to the absolute sort of minimum quality, and at that point you'll be able to, if you click on auto or something like that, you will be able to change it so that it is just a bit of a worse video feed. And hopefully that should fix it up so that you can then watch me. If you do have any problems, what you'll simply want to do is click on this URL bar up here and click on enter again, and hopefully that will refresh it and load it. So as I mentioned, if you've gotten to this point, you've already done enough that you will be able to proceed with the rest of the lessons. However, I do also want to be able to expand it so that if you wanted to take it a little bit further, you definitely can, and there are the options for that. Now, the first thing that you can do with the Twitch feed, you are actually able to chat to me as well in this session. So at the moment, it's a very one-sided conversation. I'm the only one that's doing the talking. I have no idea what you're thinking, but I'd really love to hear it. Now, the way that you do that is you could start by typing a message down here and then clicking on enter. I'm logged in, so it is going to let me send a message, but if you're not logged in, it'll probably tell you that you need to be a user to actually be able to chat. I'll log out and see if I can actually demonstrate that for you. So coming back into it, if I'm not logged in, what's going to happen when I try typing, oops, pause me there. When I do type a message, it's going to say that I'm not logged in. Now, you absolutely do not need to do this. If you simply want to just watch the stream and not interact, you do not need to do this. You've done enough just getting to this point. What you'll need to do, if you try to click on chat, it won't let you if you're not signed up. You can click on this sign up button here, come up with a username for yourself and a password, then you'll need to confirm the password. You also need to put in a date of birth. This is only because certain channels are restricted to adult audiences, and also an email. And once you've done that, if you filled in all of those bits, and you will need a unique username, so they won't necessarily allow every username, what's going to happen is that you will be able to chat to me, which is absolutely wonderful. So I'll get to see your chats when they do come up, and that way if you've got any questions as we go, you can simply send them through and I'll see them very quickly. Now, if you want to get involved but you're not too familiar with signing up for things and using chat on Twitch, there is another way that we can go about it. I have my trusty mobile phone here. If you wanted to, you can also send me a text message, and it will interrupt the video a little bit because I'll have to stop and read it, but my number is 0411 694 248. And if you sent me a text message, hopefully I will get it and I will be able to actually reply to you via the video. So I'll speak in reply to it if you send me a text message and ask any questions that way. So they're the two main ways that you can interact. You can ask questions either by sending me a text message or by also using the Twitch chat. The Twitch chat is definitely preferred because it's just simpler. I can really easily see that, but by all means do feel free to send me a text. I will also try to look at my email because yeah, with my email, you definitely have that if you've gotten to this point because you would have received my email. So I'll try to also click through that and be able to answer any questions there. But again, just to really stress, you don't need to do any of these things. You can simply just watch the video and not interact. Okay, so that's where we got to in terms of the usability of interacting with the sessions. The next thing I wanted to go through is the site where I'm effectively storing all the video content. So what we're hoping is that during the week, you can take a bit of time to watch the video content. And this will basically correlate to the beginner's lesson in the book that you have. And to get to this content, you need to go to www.bridgevid.com/sale. Now, don't worry, you have got this in an email. And if you haven't actually done the, gone to this site yet, it's not a problem. You can always look at it after today's session. So just in terms of showing you how this website does work, so I've just put a little bit of an overview at this top video. Everything below this line, this is the videos that I had available for you to access after we did the one-day crash course in February. I just decided I'd leave them up there, but for the most part, you are going to be ahead of this area by now. One video to look at if you haven't already is The Science of Thinking by Veritasium, a great YouTuber that I really enjoy watching. And believe me, this will make you feel a lot better about what you're doing with giving online play and online learning a go. So at the top, we also have the videos for each lesson. So what I'm going to do, and I'll create a new button, which will have the, I don't know what I'll call it, but it'll be something like Monday video lessons or something like that. And this is where this video from today is actually going to be dropped as well. So even if you do miss the session on a Monday evening, you will be able to watch the video of that session at a later stage. Or even if you did come to the session on a Monday and you wanted to rewatch it, or there was a little bit that just didn't sink in and you thought going through and reviewing it would be a better idea, this will be where you can come to do it. So just to go through the buttons that are currently here, a reminder that the one about the video lessons isn't here yet, but it will be. If you click on help videos, this is going to be where I sort of put the tutorials for how we're going to interact, how to use our online play features, and basically the technical side of things. When you get to these pages, just click in the middle here on this play button that pops up, and that'll start the video. It might take you a little bit to load. If you see this circle going around, it just means that it's taking a little bit to load. Sometimes if you don't have an ad blocker or anything like that, you'll also get some advertising pop up, and you'd hate to have that covering my face, wouldn't you? So what you need to do if you've got that advertising is just click on this little X here, and that will completely get rid of it. Now, once you're happy with your help videos, then just click this back arrow up here. And also we've got the lesson videos. So these are effectively the videos that are going to reinforce the content for each week. And they approximately go along with the book, but delivered slightly differently, basically. So what will happen is I'd suggest maybe watching the lesson videos and then going back and reading the book and seeing if it all sort of fits in. And if it doesn't, then maybe doing the reverse and watching the video again. So there's quite a bit to get through. I don't know exactly how many minutes that we've got, but there are lots and lots and lots and lots of videos on here to watch. Now, you certainly don't need to get through every single one of them. Some of them, what I've done is I've sort of extended it a little bit, or I've also put a couple of things just to reinforce what you had done in previous weeks as well. So I dare say that this will be the most content-heavy week that you've actually had. In theory, we've already done this week. However, you might need to play a little bit of catch up because we will actually be moving on for the next week. So that's just a little bit of a tour of the website that I'm using, which is my Bridgevid site, but /sale. And then we're going to be using this as sort of the main place to watch your videos. And another thing that I just thought I'd show you, at the bottom of each of the pages, if you wanted to, you can also leave a comment. And if I see those comments come through, whether it's a question or anything like that, I'll be able to discuss it in the following week's lesson. So no doubt you're going to be confused. If Bridge does not confuse you, there's something wrong, because everyone in the world who has ever learnt Bridge is confused at some stage or another, or just feels like they're in a constant state of confusion. So the more questions that we get, the better that these sessions on Monday are going to go, because I can guarantee you that if you're thinking about these questions, somebody else is as well. And for me and Lorraine, as sort of experienced players, there's things that we just glance over and we can't really put ourselves back in the mind of someone who's learning this game freshly. I think you're almost not going to be believing this, but I've been playing for 23 years. So it's really hard sometimes to go back and put yourself in that perspective of someone who's just learning the game. And there's no such thing as a silly question. So we would love to be sent those through. And what we're going to do with those questions is provide sort of a Q&A on the Monday evening. And we'll put them up in a bit of a document and then work through them. So in terms of the lesson for today, what we should be looking at is lesson 5 is hopefully what you've gone through. I have to say this is the worst timing ever for all this to happen, because lesson 5 is by far the hardest lesson in this book. Lesson 8's pretty hard, but lesson 6, lesson 7, they're a breeze compared to this one. So what's happened here is that we're sort of going through what our job is when we are the opener and the responder, and basically when life doesn't go as we'd like it. In the perfect world, what's going to happen is that we're going to have openers start with a bid, and straight away responders going to have a fit, and they're simply going to be able to raise, and we're going to know where we need to play. But there are times that this doesn't happen, and we more need to have an in-depth conversation with our partner, and we need to keep the bidding going. So this is what this lesson looks at. It is really complex. If you thought the penny dropped and you understood all of this, let's have a game sometime, because believe me, I don't think it should be a penny drop moment. This is something that you sort of work along at for weeks, if not years. Now, this is also a lesson that I would say that it's good to constantly come back to, because the more that you do it, the more it will reinforce it. So let's have a look at what we're doing. Responders first bid with no fit if partner opens a major suit. So pretty much what we're talking about here is if your partner's opened with 1 heart, the next player said pass, and it's now your turn to bid. What are you going to be here? You're in the role of the responder. So this is always when your partner had the opening bid, they were the first player not to pass, and you're their partner. You're automatically allocated that role as the responder. Now, the first and most important thing about being the responder is that if you have 6 or more high card points, you must make a bid. This is not optional. You must make a bid with 6 or more points. Although I've said that, there is one exception, and that would be if this opponent in here didn't pass, they actually did something else. But we'll cover that in week 8. So what we need to know, if we are the responder, we must make a bid if we have 6 or more points, basically regardless of what we have. And sometimes this does feel uncomfortable. So just to clarify, not having a fit means that you don't have 3 card support for your partner. Doesn't matter if any of them are high cards, it's all about quantity, not about quality. Just if you've got 3 hearts to go with them, you would have a fit, and instead of doing something else, you should be raising their hearts. So you should be raising 1 heart to 2 hearts. Just a reminder again that if you did want to sign up for Twitch, you could send me a chat message. Or alternatively, if you did have any questions, also feel free to send them through onto my phone by text message only. Don't want to take any calls in the middle of this, obviously. And yeah, if you've got any of those questions, do feel free to send them through, and you can also email. Hopefully I'll get that as well. So we've got 6 or more points. We must make a bid. That's the first thing we need to know. Now, this first point here says that if your partner opens 1 heart, which is what's happened in my scenario up the top here, basically with 6 or more high card points, bid a 4 card spade suit. Now, what on earth does that mean? This means that sometimes you're going to be able to call 1 spade. And the times that you should do this is if you don't have 3 hearts in your hand, but you do have 4 or even more cards in spades. One really important part about sort of the way that the bridge book is written, when it says plus, it really means plus. You could have 8 spades. It doesn't matter. You could have 13 spades. It doesn't matter. It just means your minimum is that you hold 4 of them in your hand. It doesn't matter how good they are. They could be the 2, the 3, the 4, and the 5. It just matters that you do have 4 or more of them. So this first rule, I guess we have, is that if we do have 6 or more high card points, our job is to bid our 4 card spade suit if we have one. This is the hardest part of this lesson here, 100%. Rule 2 is that with 6 to 9 high card points, no fit for partners, major suit, and no 4 card spade suit, bid 1, no trump. What on earth does that mean? This basically means that if you've got at least 6 points, but you've got at most 9, you don't have 10 or more, you don't have a fit for partner, so you can't raise 1 heart to 2 hearts, and you also can't bid 1 spade because you don't have 4 of those, your job is to bid 1 no trump. Now, I'll just illustrate a couple of hands that look like this. So on sort of like I guess the nice way of looking at it, if I had the king, the 8 and the 7 of spades, the 9 and the 2 of hearts, then I had something like the ace, 6, 5 and 4 of diamonds, and I need 4 of those, 4 clubs. So here this would fit a hand that fits that category of when it's my turn to bid, I would have to respond 1 no trump. If we go through those criteria, do I have 6, 7, 8 or 9 points? Yes, I do. In this situation, I do have 7 of them, in fact. Then we go into, can I raise the heart suit? I don't have a fit with my partner. I've only got 2 cards in hearts. Then we look into, do I have 4 cards or more in spades? No, I don't. That means I can't bid 1 spade. So my correct bid to make is going to be 1 no trump. So that's one that we'd want to respond 1 no trump. Now you might have heard that no trumps are for balanced hands, and this is completely true with the exception of if you are the responder. So if you are the responder, 1 no trump isn't actually promising a balanced hand. It's what we call sort of our catch-all bid. So what happens with our 1 no trump response is I'm going to change some cards around here. I'm just going to add you a bunch of extra diamonds. Get rid of some other cards. How many have we got there? We've got 7 of those, so we need 6 cards somewhere else. Now, this particular hand, partner opens 1 heart, and it's your turn to bid. What are you going to call? Let's go through our description that we've got. Do we have 6 to 9 high card points? Yes, we do. We've still got 7, 3 for a king, 4 for an ace. Do we have a fit in partner's major suit? No, we don't. They bid 1 heart. We need to have 3 hearts to go with them. Do we have a 4 card spade suit? No, we don't. What does it say? It says bid 1 no trump. With this hand, you want to call diamonds. You so badly want to call diamonds, but the rules of the bidding basically say that we shouldn't do that. We should bid 1 no trump, even though you really want to bid those diamonds because you've got 7 of them. So this by far is going to be the hardest rule that you've got as the responder, with 6 to 9 points and no fit for partners major and no 4-card spade suit that you can bid. You are stuck bidding 1 no trump. This is the hardest rule. Okay, the next one is about when you've got 10 or more high card points. Now, 10 or more points is a great spot to be in. Now, the reason that it's great to be in is you're not restricted by this 1 no trump bid. In fact, if you've got 10 or more points, don't bid 1 no trump ever as the responder here. Now, with 10 or more points, so if I gave myself the king of diamonds there and all these 7 diamonds, this would be where I bid my longest suit. So when my partner said 1 heart, my job would now be to bid 2 diamonds. So the rule of thumb is basically that if you've got 10 or more points, what you want to do is you want to bid your longest suit. So you want to bid the suit that you've got most cards in. It gets a little bit funny, and I think this, it doesn't really go into it at this point in the beginner's book, but just a little hint. If you've got equal length in each of your suits, so I might just change this around a bit. So partners opened 1 heart, and I'm going to give us this hand now. So we've got plenty of points. We've actually got 13 points here. What happens now is that you've got equal length in your suits. I might actually just, I'll leave it at this. Now, if you wanted to, you don't want to bid 1 no trump because you've got 10 or more points. We've thrown that out the window. We don't fit into that category. But what you should technically be doing is calling 4 card suits up the line. You might have heard of that before, up the line. Now, what up the line means is it basically means from the bid that we're at, 1 heart, what happens next? The next bid up the line, or the next available bid, would be 1 spade. The next bid after that would be 2 clubs. So the next available bid after that would be 2 diamonds. So bidding 4 card suits up the line would mean that your job here is actually to bid the cheapest option, which is actually 2 clubs out of your 2 4-card suits. Now, this might seem completely silly because your diamonds are so spectacular and your clubs are so rotten, but it's all about quantity, not about quality, and I can't stress this enough. Now, there is another little option that you've got which comes down to this 0.4, which is that with 10 to 12 points in a balanced hand and no higher 4-card suit, you can bid 2 no trumps. Now, this is a little bit different and a little bit more complex. What I would say is that these ones don't really come up all that often. So for 4 and 5, these ones aren't so important. You can sort of get around them with some other bids going through this process of 10 or more points. Now, the time that it does actually arise is when your partner opened with a minor suit. Now, what I'll show you is a different hand, and I'm just going to change it around for you a little bit. Something like this. We're getting close. Okay, here we go. So I've changed up this hand, and we're envisaging that our partner opened with 1 club, and it's now our turn to bid, and we've got to figure out what on earth we're doing. If we sort of go through the options that we had in our rules, if partner basically with 6 to 9 points, we wanted to bid 1 no trump. We can't do that because we've got too many points. It was specifically 6, 7, 8, or 9 for 1 no trump. Our next thing we wanted to do was we wanted to bid a 4-card or longer suit. But the problem is our only 4-card suit is actually our partner's clubs. And the problem here is that if we bid 2 clubs, we wouldn't be bidding a new suit and continuing the conversation. We'd actually be raising their club suit. So we can't do that because we can't guarantee a fit. The only time you can raise is when you can guarantee a fit with your partner. So this would be the rare sort of hand where you don't have that option to bid a new suit because you don't have 4 cards in any other suit. And what happens if that's the case? If you've only got 10 to 12 points, you want to bid 2 no trumps, but if you had 13 to 15 points, your job would be to bid 3 no trumps. So if I take a look at this one, I've got 11 points. I don't have a 4-card suit I can bid, so what would you want to have a go at? Have a think about it. If you got to the conclusion of 2 no trumps, you've done the right thing. So this is how sort of our rules go. One thing that's a little bit interesting is that opening bids, they promise either 5+ cards or 3+ cards, depending on if you've opened with a major suit. It's always promising your partner you've got 5 or more. And if you've opened with a minor suit, it's always promising that you've got 3 or more potentially. But what happens after those opening bids is any new bids by responder or by opener, they only promise 4 or more cards in a suit. So it's kind of funny because we had those restrictions on opener that it's either 5 or 3, but what happens after that is we only promise 4 or more cards in a suit. So what I mean by that, if we had the opener start with, say, 1 club, that would have just promised 3 because it's a minor suit opening. If our responder then bids, say, something like 1 heart, now we're at the 4-card suit. So a responder is only promising 4 cards in hearts at the moment, which would mean on the flip side of that, to get to our 8, our opener would also need to have 4 hearts. If they can't raise hearts, they might do something like bid 1 spade. That would promise that they've got 4 cards in spades. So anytime a new suit is bid after that first opening bid, it only promises a 4-card suit. So just thought I'd clarify that because some people get a bit confused about how many cards are basically promised. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this area where we've got our little bit of a quiz. So just to clarify as well, if you haven't sort of, I'm not too sure what our page number is. But if you haven't played along, we're at lesson 5 and we're going to go through these example hands that we had and figure out what on earth we should be bidding. So the first thing to really clarify is that what's happened so far is that our partner was the opener and they started off with a bid of 1 heart and we're the responder, and basically what's happened is it's now our turn to make a call. And what are you going to bid with each of these hands? So let's take a look. I'll just bring this up here. We'll get rid of some of this. And I might, get us to go through these ones. So the first one, hand number 1. In spades, we've just got these 4 little ones, the 9, 8, 7, 2. Hopefully you're following along with the hands here. So with this hand, in terms of how many high card points that I've got a total of 7. Just as a little tip, the quicker that you get from basically quicker you can count your, it's page 16, I believe. Thank you to whoever sent that through. I'm guessing it's page 16. We're at 7 high card points, which means, do we have to make a bid? Yes, we do if we're the responder, because you must make a bid if you've got 6 or more. Now, in terms of what I can bid, if you've only got 6 to 9 points, the best idea of sort of summarizing the rules that you've been given in that top part is that with only 6 to 9 points, you can only make a bid at the 1 level. Now, if partner started off with a bid of 1 heart, this means my only 2 bids that are available are going to be 1 spade and also 1 no trump. Now, the way that I choose between those is, do I have 4 cards in spades? And yes, I do. So my bid here should be a 1 spade bid as my first response. I'm just going to get rid of all of these dashes and we'll work through them from here. Okay, so that would be the correct responsive bid on our first hand. Now, what about our second hand? We've got lots of high card points here. Hopefully, you might have already had a crack at these before we started this session. But if we count up our high card points, we've got 11, 12, 13, 14 high card points on this hand. A really nice one. Now, what happens here is that we don't fit the category that's only got 6 to 9 points. In fact, we have heaps of them. One thing that happens if ever I've got 13 or more points and my partner's open the bidding, what I do straight away is I put myself in the category of a hand that knows we need to go to game at some point. So just in the back of my mind, I always put that we must go to game at some point. So 3 no trumps, 4 spades, 4 hearts, 5 diamonds, or 5 clubs. On this particular hand, the best bid that you could actually make is 1 spade. Now, the way that we got here is because I've got over 10 points, what I want to do is I simply want to call my longest suit, which happens to be spades. One thing that people get a little bit confused about is, well, why are we only bidding 1 spade? We've got all these points. Why aren't we calling higher in spades? What you want to do in bridge is if ever you're bidding a new suit, so a suit that has never been bid by any player before, you always want to do it at the lowest level possible. So here, the cheapest that I can bid is 1 spade. If we move on to hand 3, so this time counting up the high card points, we've got 11 high card points. And what does this mean about our bid? First of all, we're not restricted by being in the 6 to 9 point range, which means we're allowed to call at the 2 level if we want. Remember, put in your mind that with 6 to 9 high card points, you could only bid at the 1 level. But with 11, we don't have that restriction, so we're definitely good to go a bit higher, and we want to choose our longest suit. So here it's diamonds. In reply, remember, we're always thinking about partner bid 1 heart. What should we do? We should call 2 diamonds. Just another thing to remind you of, in terms of choosing this bid, it was also a critical feature that we did not have 3 hearts to go with our partner. Even if we had the 5 diamonds, but if I gave us an extra heart, for instance, our job wouldn't be to bid diamonds. It would be to raise our partner's hearts, because our number 1 priority in bridge is find that fit. And then once you've got that fit, you simply want to raise your partner. Okay, so moving along to hand 4, if we count up the high card points that we've got here, we've got 8, 3 for a king and 2 for a queen. So 2 3s is 6 plus 2 is 8. And so what's our bid going to be? Unfortunately, we are in that problem area where we've only got 6 to 9 points, which means we must only make a bid at the 1 level. After partners bid 1 heart, our only options are going to be 1 spade or 1 no trump. So we want to consider, are we able to bid 1 spade? And here, no, we aren't, because we don't have 4 cards to go in spades. So what we should do is we should bid 1 no trump, as silly as it feels, because no trumps typically promise balanced hands. That rule gets thrown out the window if it's the responder bidding 1 no trump. So as a general rule, if opener bids 1 no trump, they're always balanced. But if our responder bids 1 no trump, they're not necessarily balanced. So moving on to hand 5. So with this one, if we count up those high card points that we've got, looks like we've got about 15 at first count. 7, 13, 15. Cool, I got it right. 15 points, and what are we going to bid? I'm actually going to give points for 2 answers that you might have had here. So the first one is that you could have actually responded with 2 clubs, and this is the idea that we've definitely got enough points that we can bid at the 2 level. We're not restricted by that 6 to 9. And we can bid any suit that we've got 4 or more cards in. In this situation, we've got 2 4-card suits, so you want to do the cheapest one. And 2 clubs is a cheaper bid than 2 diamonds. So I've got a lot of sympathy for 2 clubs. If you didn't want to bid 2 clubs, the best option would be 3 no trumps here. And that fit into that category that you're balanced and you don't have a fit with your partner. It's kind of weird because we think of bridge as sort of really black and white. There's a right and a wrong, but it's actually not. The more that you play, the more you'll realize it's such a gray game. And a lot of it comes into judgment and making different choices. And if it wasn't that way, it'd be really boring. So bridge is lucky to be operating in the gray. The next one onto board 6. So here we've only got 4 high card points, and this should send alarm bells off for us, because if we're the responder, we need to have 6 or more points to make a call. So I hope you didn't fall into the trap here, but we should have just passed that 1 heart bid, because we don't have 6 or more points to be able to make a call. So they're the answers to those ones. I haven't had any comments or any questions, so I'm trusting that you all got all of those absolutely perfectly correct before you started the session today. Now the next bit that we're going to get into is we're going to get into opener's second bid, and this is known as a rebid after the responder changes suit. Well, that's a lot. Now what I'm going to do at this stage is I'm just going to let you have a read of this area if you wanted to, or if you've, I guess, haven't had a quick look over it already, or alternatively just to take a short 6 minute break. We'll reconvene again at 7:15. And yeah, if you needed to grab a cuppa or your brain's exploding a little bit and it was probably time for some chocolate, feel free to do that. But we'll take a quick little break and we'll start again at 7:15. If you haven't had a chance to have a quick read over this, now might be the ideal time as well. So I will see you very shortly back here. Okay folks, so welcome back. We will get into our next part, which was our opener's second bid or their rebid after responder changes suit. So what this means is that we've basically had our opener start with a bid, say something like 1 club, and then we've had our responder say something like 1 heart. And what we would know so far is opener had promised 3 or more clubs and 12 or more points. Just to be really clear, those or mores definitely mean they could be far more. Then when our responder bid 1 heart, they're promising they've got 6 or more points. They could still have 20 points, and they've also got 4 or more hearts. Again, they could have 8 hearts in their hand. We just don't know. And so what we're talking about is what happens here when you're the opener. And just to clarify, once you've started as the opener, you are the opener for the whole duration of the hand. And what are you going to do in this position? So what we're going to talk about is basically after opening 1 heart or 1 spade, if partner changes suit, opener must make another bid. So let's have a look into it. This does also apply for a minor suit as well, just to clarify that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pretend it was a 1 heart opening and a 1 spade bid. Now there's 2 types of bids in bridge. There's bids that are forcing and bridge that are not forcing. Now, what a forcing bid means is that when you made it with the intention that your partner would not pass. Now, the most common time there is a forcing bid is when we've bid a new suit. So here, when the responder bid 1 spade, this is classed as a new suit because we haven't bid spades before. And that means that we expect that our partner will not pass. There is one exception to that, which is the rule that, of course, if there's been an opening bid, say our 1 heart, our responder could have passed if they had less than 6 points. But with that exception, when our responder bids a new suit, the opener must make a second bid or another bid. And there's one actual thing that's a little bit interesting in there, which it's a subtle thing, but it's a really important thing. So I've actually deleted it off, but you've got a line in there that's, I'm sort of just putting it back in. Actually, I'll just undo it all and I'll bring it back up and I'll change my auction. Here it is, this part right here. If partner changes suit, now what that means is that if partner bids a new suit, opener must make another bid. However, just to clarify, suit is the most important word here. What this means is that if our responder bid no trumps, then our opener does not necessarily need to make another bid. I know that sounds like such a silly distinction, but it is such an important one. So if partner were to bid no trumps here, you can actually pass. But if our responder bids a new suit, so here they bid hearts, opener must make another bid. So I'm just going to change that auction back. I'm going to make it a 1 heart opening and then a 1 spade response, because that's going to be the demonstration, I guess, that we get for our problems that come up. Okay, so what are we going to do when this happens? The first thing is that we might raise the suit with 4 card support. Now what this means is that if I'm the opener and in addition to the 5 hearts that I had to open 1 heart, if I had 4 cards to go in spades as well, I'm now going to bid some number of spades. I might bid 2 spades, I might bid 3 spades, or I might bid 4 spades. But if I've got 4 spades, I know that when my partner bid 1 spade, they've got spades as well. We're going to have a fit if we've both got 4 of them. So what I want to do if I do have 4 spades is I want to choose a raise in spades. But the next thing I have to do is figure out what level to bid the spades at. And this is the toughest part. So I'm going to give you a couple of hands here. The first one, let's give us this. Okay, so in spades, we've got the ace, the king, the 4, and the 3. In hearts, the ace, king, 4, 3, 2. And in diamonds and clubs, the 3 and the 2 of each suit. Not a bad little poker hand there. So what happens here is that we want to be able to choose what our bid is. Is it going to be 2 spades, 3 spades, or 4 spades? It's definitely going to be spades, but what happens is the level depends on how many points that we've got. Now, typically what happens is that if you bid 2 spades, you should have 12 to 14 points in your hand as well. If we bid 3 spades, this is where we should have 15 to 17 points. And if we bid 4 spades, this is where we should have 18 or more points. So which level would this particular hand fit into? Do you want to bid 2 spades, 3 spades, or 4 spades? This is an interesting one that I'm going to sort of give half points for one answer, but full points for another one. Now, I'm going to give full points for 3 spades, and I'm going to give partial points for 2 spades. The reason for that is that on a face value, this hand is worth 14 high card points because we've got the ace and the king in both of those major suits. However, don't forget, I think you learned last week that you've also got shortage points that you can add in as well. So with those shortage points, every time that you do have a doubleton, you get to add 1 bonus point in. So here you would actually get 2 bonus points to go with your 14 high card points, and that would bring you up to a hand that should actually bid 3 spades. If we just made this hand really, really good, added another ace in there, this would be a hand that, whether or not you count those shortage points, either way, it's got 18 points. So this hand should have bid 4 spades in reply to the 1 spade. Now, in terms of thinking about sort of how we get to these levels, don't forget that our partner promised us that they had 6 or more points. And the way that these levels sort of work out is we're kind of trying to remember what was our goal with the bidding. The first is what's going to be trumps, and the second goal is how high. Now, in terms of when we raise spades, we're answering this first question. Trumps are going to be spades. But the next question is how high. This comes down to the combined points. Now, if my partner's got 6 and I've only got something like 12 to 14, you know they've got 6 or more. Sorry about this. If we've got 12 to 14, we can only bank on them having 6, so we've got somewhere between 18 and 20. At least we do in our mind. The problem is our partner could have more points because remember they promised 6 or more, but we have to use what we know, and it could be as few as 6. So we're working on that minimum. And if they did have their minimum of 6, then we're going to have 18 to 20 points, and that's not enough for game. Whereas if we had, say, 18 points, when we know that our partner has at least 6, what's going to happen is we've got 24 or more points together, and we can work that out just from the fact that we know that our partner had 6. Now, what this means, it's not quite the 25 that we wanted to have for game, but don't forget it's also the worst case scenario. So most of the time we'll have 25 or more, and that's where we get to 4 spades because we'll pretty much always have enough for game. When you've got that 15 to 17 points, you fit into sort of this middle range here. Sorry about the computer sort of going along there. With 15 to 17, if my partner has 6, We've got at least 21, and we know that our minimum, even if partner only has 6, is 23. And what this basically indicates to our partner is if they've only got their minimum, sort of their 6 to 9, we're not going to have enough for game. But if they do have some more, say they had like 10 or more, or even potentially 9, they should still also give it a go and bid on to 4 spades. So that was our first thing. If we've got 4 card support, we want to raise our partner's suit. Now, the next one's a bit confusing. Bid a new suit if he holds at the 2 level. What on earth does that mean? So basically what happened is we now look at the other suits that partner has. And basically, if they've got another 4 card suit they can bid and they don't have a fit with their partner, their job is to bid that one. So this is where, if I just delete all this, we're coming back to our auction up here. So 1 heart, then 1 spade. What we could do is bid 2 diamonds or bid 2 clubs, and this would tell our partner that we don't have a fit for them, so we don't have 4 cards in spades, but we do have 4 cards ourselves in either diamonds or clubs, whichever one of those you bid. And you'll notice that this forcing terms come in again. So this is forcing responder must bid again. Now what that means is that when you've done this, our responder could not pass. They can't do that. They must bid something else. And just to go through sort of that rule that we had a rule that anytime a new suit is bid, then we must keep doing bidding. So here, this would be the first time that diamonds or clubs would be called. So our responder would not be able to pass. Now, the next one that we've got is that our opener could also rebid their own 6 card suit. So what this means is basically looking at if they chose whether they were going to bid 2 hearts, 3 hearts, or 4 hearts. So rebidding your suit is when you've called it once and you're calling it again. And to do this, you should have 6 or more cards in your suit. One rule that I like to have for bridge is if you've already bid a suit once and promised a minimum, if you're going to bid it again, you need to have more of them. So when you bid 1 heart, you said to partner, I've got 5 of them. If you want to bid hearts again, partner heard that you had 5 hearts, so you need to have more. You should have 6 or more. And again, the level that you choose to bid your hearts at varies based on the points. With 12 to 14, so 12, 13 or 14, you should bid 2 hearts. With 15, 16 or 17, you should bid 3 hearts. And with 18 or more, you should bid 4 hearts. So that's how we decide which level of hearts we're going to bid at. Now, the last option that you've got with a balanced hand, rebid no trumps. Now, what this equates to is that anytime you've got roughly the same number of cards in each suit, other than your 5 hearts that you've got, because we know you had 5 hearts. So when the rest of your suits are divided, that you've got 2 3-card suits and 1 2-card suit. And I'll just give you an example of this. So we've got our 2 spades, we've got 5 hearts, and now we'll give ourselves some diamonds and also some clubs. This would be a balanced hand shape. So when you've got 5 hearts, 3 diamonds, 3 clubs, and 2 spades, and you could swap it around as well. You could have had 2 clubs and potentially 3 spades. But either way, you're balanced, you don't have a fit with your partner's spades, so your job here is to bid no trumps. So let's take a look at our example hands and then we'll go through what we think we should bid. I'm not going to go through all this distribution points and total points if counted. Let's get rid of that. I might just talk through that. What I mostly want to focus on is our high card points and the bid that we think we should make. Now, just to clarify again that situation, I'll pop this in down here so we know what we're talking about. We've started this time with the 1 heart bid, our partner's bid 1 spade, and it's now our turn to make a call. Sorry, I'll just clean this up because it looks like a bit of a dog's breakfast at the moment. Okay, so we'll get rid of all of that and just come back up here to this. So let's have a look at our first example. So if we count up the high card points that we have, we've got 14, I think it is. And what are we going to bid? So the first thing we want to look at always is, do I have a fit with my partner's suit? And partner promised that they have 4 or more cards in spades. So do we have a fit with them? No, we don't, because to have the fit, we would need to have 4 spades to go with them. So we're not going to raise spades. The next thing we want to think about is, do we have another long suit ourselves? And long classes as 4 or more in bridge. So yes, we do. We've got a long suit in diamonds. So what happens here? You're also an unbalanced hand shape. Always good to remember those terms. Our bid should be 2 diamonds. Now, in terms of counting total points or those points for a singleton and a void and things like that, you can only actually count those if you can guarantee a fit with your partner. So you shouldn't actually really be evaluating that you've got any distribution points here, because you don't have a fit with your partner. You can't count points for having a singleton in their suit. If we move on to the next one, so in terms of our high card points, I think we've got 12. And what do we want to bid? So coming back to our order of priorities, do I have a fit with my partner? Yes, I do. They've got 4 spades. I've got 4 spades. Great. I'm happy for spades to be trumps. So I want to raise spades. I'm going to bid spades here, but am I going to bid 2, 3, or 4 spades? This all comes down to how many points that we've got. And because we fit in that nice box of 12 to 14, our job is just to bid at the lowest level, and we should call 2 spades with a hand like this. Moving on to number 3, here you've got 13 high card points. And we go through that process again. Do we have a fit with our partner's spade suits? We can't promise one. We might have a fit, but we can't promise one because our partner might only have 4 spades. And if you can't promise a fit, you don't want to raise their spades. Now, are we a balanced hand? No, we're not. Do we have another long suit? No, we don't. So what we're going to want to do is call our hearts again. We had 5 of them to start with. Now we need to be able to tell partner we've got 6 of them. So we're going to bid hearts. But are we going to bid 2, 3, or 4 hearts? This comes down to how many points we have, and because we fit into that box of 12 to 14, our job is just to bid 2 hearts. Moving on to our 4th hand, looks like 13 high card points. And now what are we going to do? Our order of priorities. Do I have a fit with my partner's spades? No, I don't, because I don't have 4 of them. Do I have another 4 card suit I could bid myself? No, I don't. Am I balanced? Yes, I am. I don't have a 6th heart or anything like that. And so this is where our job is to bid no trumps. We should call 1 no trump with this hand. And our lucky last one, this one, it's remarkably similar to our first hand. And our process sort of goes the same as that first hand as well. We've got 14 high card points. Do I have a fit with partner's spades? No, I don't. Am I balanced? No, I'm not. I don't have a 6th heart, but I do have another long suit that I can bid to show my partner. So here your job should be to bid 2 diamonds. So that goes through our opener's second bid or their rebid. If you had to give yourself a general rule in this position, the first and most important one is that if you're going to bid your same suit again, you need to have more of them. The second one would be that if you're balanced, you want to bid no trumps. And if you're not balanced, you don't want to bid no trumps. But by far the most important thing was that if we had a fit with our responders suits, if we had 4 or more cards, and it wouldn't matter how bad they were, they could be the 2, the 3, the 4, and the 5, our job was going to be to raise their spades, but also to tell them how many points that we had. So that's our opener's second bid. Well, now we're on to responder's second bid as well. I have to say, if you're getting to responder's second bid and it's not obvious what bid they should be making, basically you're down the rabbit hole. If we get to this stage, it is a situation where basically, we're down the rabbit hole. The auction in bridge is going in a direction that is a lot of the time uncharted territory. So our first priority, and you're probably starting to get a sense of this, if you've got a fit with your partner, you must raise them. Now, a key thing here is that they've talked about if opener has bid a second suit. Now, what this means is that they've called a suit that wasn't the same as their first suit. So their first suit might have been hearts, and then the second suit they bid might have been clubs or diamonds. But the key part, they've bid a different suit and they haven't raised us as well. Your job would be to raise if you had a fit with them. Now, this is actually a really rare situation that comes up because it's basically as though we say, for instance, that our opener bids, say, something like 1 heart, responder bids something like 1 spade, and now we've had our opener bid 2 clubs. And to have a fit with it, you also need to have 4 cards in that suit yourself, and you can raise to 3 clubs. But it's not all that common that we will have a fit in a second suit. It certainly happens, but it's not all that common. But this is what it means. So responder will raise opener's second suit with a fit. This says opener bid a second suit, they promised 4. If you've got 4 of them yourself, your job is to raise it. Our next priority for responder is to rebid their own suit if they've got 6 cards in it. It's really funny with responder because when they bid their first time, they only promised 4 cards in their suit. But if they want to bid it the second time, their job is actually to have 6 of them. Now, just go into the logic behind that. Let's say we had a 1 heart opening by the opener. We bid 1 spade as the responder, and then our opener said 2 clubs. And what we're talking about is rebidding your suit would be that you bid 2 spades here. And we're saying that you have to have 6 of them. You might be sitting there thinking, well, why isn't it 5? And what do I do with 5? Now, the reason it's not 5 is that when our opener said 1 heart and then 2 clubs, they promised that they had 5 or more cards in hearts. They promised that they had 4 or more cards in clubs. And this is the situation that we're at. Now, unless your partner's been dealt a few extra cards, we're getting pretty close to our limit of 13. Our partner has already told us that they've got 9 out of the available 13 cards that they hold in hearts and in clubs, and this is a minimum. Or to think about that, if they've got 9 out of 13 cards that live between hearts and clubs, that's only 4 cards that they've got left between spades and diamonds. And that's at most. So the idea is that if you wanted to bid 2 spades yourself, because our odds are on that they've only got sort of a couple of spades for us, we basically need to have 6 ourselves. So if you want to rebid your own suit as responder, you need to have 6 or more cards. With 5, you've got to figure out something else. Now our next thing to do is responder will bid a new suit of his own with a unbalanced hand. This is getting very deep. Basically what this means is that if you also had a new suit yourself, you could also bid diamonds. We can keep it going. We can keep suggesting suits here, there, and everywhere. All right, toughest part of this lesson is this one right here. With only 6 to 9 high card points and no fit, responder will bid 1 no trump, but it's only if it's available. Now, the big one that I want you to note here is it doesn't say responder will bid no trumps. It says responder will bid 1 no trump if it's available. Now, what I mean by that is that in a position where we had 6 to 9 points and no fit, if it had, say, gone 1 club, 1 diamond, 1 heart, and we were at this point in the auction, what are we going to bid? 1 no trump is definitely available, so we can still bid 1 no trump. However, if we change these around, and our opener started with 1 heart, but their next bid was 2 clubs, 1 no trump is not available. Now, what you don't do in this position, you do not substitute in 2 no trumps. This does not happen. It's 1 no trump, but only if it's available. You do not bid 2 no trumps if you've got 6 to 9 points. Now, this next bit goes into what you do if you've got 6 to 9 points and the biddings at the 2 level or higher. And this is the bit of bridge that literally people who have been playing for about 10 years, have no idea about and always get wrong. With 6 to 9 high card points, if the bidding is at the 2 level or higher and responder has no fit, he will make the least worst bid he can. Oh my God. What does that mean? Okay. Let's have a look at what that means with some demonstration hands is probably the best thing to do, but I will give you a little rule that kind of helps with this particular situation. And what this is, this little piece of gold with 6 to 9 points and no fit. When the bidding is at the 2 level, responder must call a suit that has already been bid. So don't bid no trumps, don't bid a new suit. Responder must call a suit that has already been bid. Now, what I mean by that is that if we go back to this little demonstration auction up here, if I was at the point where I was responder and we had this auction and I was choosing a bid here, if I did only have 6, 7, 8, or 9 points, I have to bid a suit that's already been called. I can either go 2 hearts, I can go 2 diamonds, or I can go 3 clubs. But I'm not allowed to bid spades and I'm not allowed to bid no trumps. That's the way I sort of remember this rule. And by the least worst option, basically that means choose something that feels about right and that it's not like a lie. It's an uncomfortable position to be in. We all hate it as bridge players, and we'll have a look at some demonstration hands that are going to show that. The next bit, much nicer territory. It's with 10 to 12 high card points and no fit. Responder's going to bid 2 no trumps. So this is where the 2 no trump comes in. If you want one of these little general rules, pretty much always, whenever responder bids 2 no trumps, it should have 10, 11, or 12 points. And our last one, if instead of 10, 11, or 12, if you had 13, 14, or 15 points, or maybe a couple more, you bid 3 no trumps. Now, I think some demonstration hands will be the best way of looking at these ones. And in all honesty, this is some pretty serious stuff. I'm not lying. I do think this is the hardest lesson of the course. So let's have a look at what we're doing here. Partner opened the bidding with 1 heart. Here we've got their 1 heart bid. I'm going to make this really big so we know what's going on. And then you bid 1 spade. They said 2 clubs, and now we're looking at what we're going to bid with each of these particular hands. Let's go through and have a look at it. So the first thing, how many high card points do we have on hand 1? We've got 7 of them. And what are we going to call? If we go through those rules or priorities that we've got, do we have a fit for our partner's second suit? So that would mean, do we have 4 clubs? No, we don't, so we can't raise that. Our next thing is potentially, do we have our own 6 card suit? Which we do. So here we could bid our spades again. And you want to choose if you're going to bid 2 spades, 3 spades, or 4 spades. And this comes down to how many high card points you've got. Somewhere on about, I think it's page 33 or 36, there is the most important page in the Bridge Beginners book, which goes through those point ranges. Now, because we fit into 6 to 9, just a really weak responder, our bid should be 2 spades. Let's take a look at this next one. In terms of how many points that we have, we've got 8, 11, 12 here. And what are we going to do with this hand? Well, we don't have a fit for our partner's second suit. That means that we don't have 4 cards in clubs to go with them. And we can't rebid our own suit because we don't have 6 of them. What are we going to do? Now, there is an option that if you wanted to, you could bid 2 diamonds here. This is definitely one you could choose. The other one you could choose if you wanted to is 3 no trumps. And 2 no trumps. You've only got 12 points. If you had 13 or more, it would have been 3 no trumps. But with only 12 points, you should bid 2 no trumps. So one of these 2 options would be completely fine. You have 1 heart and 1 diamond in example. Ooh, interesting. Clarify that one for me, Lorraine. 1 heart and 1 diamond in example. We're potentially moved on for that. Sorry if I confused you with a 1 heart and 1 diamond bit. On to our next one, on to board 3. So here we've got 8 high card points in total. And what are we going to bid? Now we're getting into the really tricky part. So this comes down to that rule that with 6 to 9 high card points, you have to choose a bid that is the least worst option if 1 no trump is not available, and 1 no trump isn't here. We don't just substitute in 2 no trumps. We can't do that. If we go back to my little rule, if you've only got 6 to 9 and you get yourself to this position where 3 suits have been bid, you must call a suit that has already been called. So here we must either call hearts, spades, or clubs. Now, in terms of how we think about those options, if I were to bid spades, I should have 6 of them. So that doesn't feel good. If I were to bid 3 clubs, I should have 4 of them. I should have a fifth. So that doesn't feel good. The least worst option would definitely be bidding 2 hearts. Now, the reason that that is a better option than 2 spades is, remember, when you bid 1 spade up here, you said to your partner, look, I don't have 3 hearts to raise you. I don't have a fit with your heart suit. So when you bid 2 hearts now, your partner should not expect that you actually have 3 cards in hearts to go with them. Because if you had 3 or more hearts, you should have raised them in the first place. So here it's actually called a preference bid. We should have bid 2 hearts. On to our 4th one. Here we've got 9 high card points. And what are we going to do? This is actually a really nice hand to have. It's not as challenging as that number 3. This is because we've got a fit with our partner's clubs. We know partner's got 4, we've got 5 to go with them. We're really happy to have clubs as trumps. So what we want to do is raise it. Now, you might be a little bit confused about why we're raising to 3 when normally you just raise to 2 with 6 to 9. What happens is that it's normally the 2 level with 6 to 9, but I like to think of it as the cheapest level. So 6 to 9 should raise to the cheapest level. And here, after our partners bid 2 clubs, the cheapest level in clubs is actually the 3 level. So that's what we should be doing on that one. Over to our lucky last one. So here it looks like we've got about 15 points. And what are we going to do? I'm actually going to give 2 bids that I don't mind for this. One I definitely prefer more. But your 2 options would be bidding your diamond suit, because you do have 4 of those, or your other option would be calling 3 no trumps. And personally, I prefer 3 no trumps, mostly because of the idea that, remember, if partner's got 5 cards in hearts and 4 cards in clubs, there's only 4 cards left in the rest of their hand. So it's really unlikely that those 4 cards would all be diamonds. But if you wanted to bid 2 diamonds, that's also fine as well. I just think 3 no trumps a little bit of a better bid. All right, this table is so important. You would have heard me talk about these ranges quite a lot, except they are slightly incorrect. It's actually 12 to 14 here for an opener. It's 15 to 17 for a intermediate opener. And you want to change these ones in your book, and then our highest one is going to be 18 or more. Believe me, I'm going to love telling Mary that she had a typo at this point. So yeah, just change those ones in your book, grab your pen and mark it out. If you sort of forget that and you go with 16 to 18 and 12 to 15, it's not going to be the end of the world. A lot of the time it does all sort of work out the same anyway. But what I would be doing is going to bed every night for the next week saying 12 to 14, 15 to 17, 18 plus, 6 to 9, 10 to 12, 13 to 15. And also clarifying who they are. Opener, 18 plus is really strong, whereas responder, it's only 13 plus. There's a few important points here, which is that they sort of go into the idea of how many cards that you're promising in each suit. I've sort of covered this a little bit. Basically the idea of when you're promising 5 cards, when you're promising 3 cards, and when you're promising 4. Pretty much what you want to remember is the opening bid. If it's a minor, it only promises 3. If it's a major, it promises 5. But after we've started that first bid, then what happens is that we're only promising 4 card suits. And I guess the little follow on from that is thinking about your priorities. And what you want to do is sort of come up with your own intuitive way of thinking about your bids. And what I generally sort of put in my mind is that if I am a balanced person, balanced hands usually like to bid no trumps. If you're unbalanced, you usually don't like to bid no trumps. You should be avoiding bidding no trumps. The only exception to that, of course, would be that one that we went through right at the start, which is when the responder is only has 6 to 9 points. What they have to do is potentially bid 1 no trump with an unbalanced hand. One just little key point that Mary's got in here is that you're playing a system called Standard American. And what a system refers to is it's basically our bridge language. Now, Standard American is just basically saying it was Polish or Russian. Standard American is the name given to that language. There's other languages. There's one called ACOL. There's one called Precision. But ours is called Standard American. The other thing that happens is you get told that you're playing better minor. Now, I don't know about you, but better minor to me means that one is more quality. If it's better, it's a higher quality. This is actually a very poor term. It should actually be called longer minor. And this is because it refers to when you've got 3 cards in clubs and 3 cards in diamonds. And I'll just come up with a hand for you down the bottom here. So these are going to be our spades. We'll give ourselves these hearts. Okay, we'll get this all to be the same sort of size. Is probably much nicer. If I had this particular sort of hand, just thinking about the idea of better minor, if I'm choosing between opening 1 club or opening 1 diamond, my diamonds are better. They are higher quality. That's what better means, doesn't it? No, it's not the case. It should be longer minor. Now, when you don't have a longer minor, they're equal length. We've got 3 cards in each. Yes, one is significantly stronger, but we've got equal length. What you want to do is just simply open 1 club. Now, this might feel pretty uncomfortable, but that's what we should be doing. Now, the only exception to that rule when they are equal length is if you've got 5 cards or more in both suits, then you want to actually open the higher one. So here we'd actually open 1 diamond. Just to sort of clarify, at this stage, you've got 4 cards in both suits. Here what you should be opening is you should be opening clubs, although this one will actually change next week when we learn our next bit on no trump openings as well. So that brings us to the end of our lesson 5, but believe me, it's not all over for you yet. We're about to get you into actually playing some bridge. Now, before you do get into playing some bridge, we are going to have a quick little break at this point. And I've got a couple of little bits of advice with this particular area. Now, the first is don't give up right now. I want everybody to have a go at this. The second is if it is convenient and if you've got access to another device, so if you happen to have a laptop as well as a computer, or you had an iPad as well as a computer, or whatever you're watching this on, and it could be as simple as just having a mobile phone as well. What I would suggest that you do on the smaller of your devices, so potentially on your phone, if you've got internet capability there, you might find it useful to open this video or this link actually on your smaller device and use your larger device for when we actually play bridge. On the other hand, if you've only got one device, still don't feel bad about that. All that's going to happen is that basically you're going to be using this video that we've got now pretty much for audio only, and you won't be looking at me. Now, in terms of what I will get you to do, and we'll restart this sort of bit at 8 o'clock, is go to www.bridgebase.com. And I'll get that all on one smaller bit for you. So www.bridgebase.com. Also, if you are going to swap device on what you're watching me on, the link just again is twitch.tv/LKGINNAN. All N's for Nellies, no M's or anything like that. And the last thing that I just wanted to clarify is if you're not switching to a second device, that is going to be completely fine. Just keep here, or I guess just keep this video open. But what you'll want to do is in the internet browser that you're in, and by that I mean if you're in Chrome or if you're in Firefox or you're in Internet Explorer or something like that, you want to open a new tab. So up the top here, there should be a little plus sign. If you click on that little plus sign, it should start a new window of the internet there. So what you want to have is in one window, the area that we've got our video stream in now. I'll just pause that. But in the other tab, what I'll get you to do is type in bridgebase.com. This is called a URL, by the way. So bridgebase.com, anytime you've got a www or something like that, it's called a URL. So what I'll get you to do now is hopefully get to this point here, where we're all at Bridgebase on one screen. And if you are doing a second screen, you're also on Twitch. So if you get to the point that you can see this, you're doing particularly well. And what I'll also say is at this stage, I don't want anyone to give up. No one should be giving up at this point. So I'll give you a couple of minutes and we'll restart again at 8 o'clock. Okay, folks, so welcome back. Now, just for our play section at this stage, I'm going to go through this in sort of two areas. Now, the first, I'm basically going to get everybody who hates technology and dreads the idea of playing Bridge Online, and I'm going to get you set up in your own table area. And basically playing along there, and that's pretty much all I'm going to want you to do for the session. Just keep playing in that particular area. For those of you who think you're pretty tech savvy and really want to get into it, I'm then going to take you on a tour through the rest of the BridgeVid site, the Bridgebase site. So first of all, and you could play along doing this at home, or you could just watch my demonstration and then you could go into it yourself. If you're in the I'm scared of playing online and I don't want to do it and why are you making me do it category, what I want you to do when you're at this point, www.bridgebase.com, I simply want you to ignore all this stuff up here and click on this button which says just declare. Now, if you wanted to, you can be doing this on your own screen, or if you would prefer, you can simply watch me have a go at it. But basically, and it might take a little bit of time to load, you are just going to be taken straight to a table. Now, it will give you this prompt about what exactly you are doing. So that you're in the just declare area. All you need to do, you don't even need to read that bit, just click on play. And what's going to happen, you are going to be launched into just playing a hand. And just declare, you don't get any bidding in this area, you simply just get to declare the hands yourself. and go through and do that. So what happens in terms of the play, it's as though we are at a bridge table and you're holding this south hand down here. So I've got this hand with the king jack 10 6 3 of diamonds and the ace 9 5 3 of hearts, and that the hand up the top here is my partner's hand, and it's also the dummy, because in the just declare function you're always the declarer. Now you can't see either of your opponents. They're off to the sides here. And what happens is this opening lead, the opening lead always comes from the player on your left. And a funny thing about playing online is everybody puts the cards in the middle, which is completely different to what happens at a bridge table. The other thing, your contract is given to you up here. So I'm in a 6 diamond contract. And basically, how am I going to go through the play? So in terms of how it all goes, still goes clockwise. This yellow bar here is probably your best friend. It tells you when it's your turn to play and which cards you can possibly play. So because the 5 of spades is led, I have to play a card from that top hand, and now one gets contributed from the other hand, and away I go like this. Then you want to just continue playing on your hand. You might want to draw some trumps at this point. I'm just going to sort of play some cards and see how we all go. Lost that one. That's a bit of a shame. Going to be a bit sneaky here. And yeah, you just keep playing the cards and clicking through them. And they do get contributed in the middle of the table. One thing that some people find awkward is clicking on the cards as they're going once they're in the middle of the table. Believe me, you'll start to get used to that. So you can just keep clicking through and playing your cards. I feel like that's all the trumps gone. Collect my ace of spades, get rid of that that heart, and come across to my clubs. So this is how you use the just declare function on Bridge Base Online. The key parts as well, up the top here under 6 diamonds with the horizontal tricks, they're the ones that I've lost. And in the vertical pile, think of it as though you were scoring your tricks at a table. If it's vertical, they're the tricks that I have won. And again, if you try to click from the wrong hand, it's just not going to let you. You have to look for where this yellow bar is and make sure that you're playing from the correct hand. Now, once you do finish a hand, you'll be given your result on the board. So I just got 920 points because I made what's called a small slam, making 12 tricks. And it shows me where all the rest of the cards were. It looks like a bit of a dog's breakfast, but that's where all 52 of the cards were located. It'll keep a tally of your score up here in the top left. And over on the right-hand side here, we've also got all the players that are online who have spent far too much time doing this and are currently on the best scores. I just got a slam, which is quite rare, and I'm only on 920, and you've got somebody on 25,000. So just ignore that scoreboard. It's people that have got far too much time on their hands. You never know, in isolation, that might be you in a day or two. But yeah, to keep playing, you simply click and you will be dealt a new set of cards. Again, you're the declarer, and you get given the opening lead from your left, and then the dummy is placed down. If you miss that bidding, it's always up here, and your contract, so 3 spades, I'm trying for 9 tricks. The other thing you can do, if you wanted to have a look at what actually happened for the bidding, you can click on it and then click on it to get rid of it. So this is how you play the Bridge Base Online Just Declare feature. In all honesty, I wouldn't worry too much about these buttons up here. The only one you might want to change is that I think the default might be that sound effects are on. And personally, I find the sound effects of Bridge Base really annoying. I'll let you hear a couple of those. I hate the sound, but you might enjoy it. If you wanted to change that, you simply click on settings and click it to say that it's off. Yeah, so there's a couple of other settings in there that you might want to fiddle around with, but that's the only one that I think's important. Now, what I want you to do at this stage is to leave. All you simply do is click back or close it. Now, if you're not feeling too comfortable with the idea of playing bridge online, what I really want you to do is just simply click on that Just Declare feature now and get yourself into playing the hands there. At this stage, if that is you and you've chosen to go into the Just Declare feature, what I'd like you to do is actually stop the video in just a second and just do that for the rest of the session or however long you wanted to. You could be there till 1 a.m. Completely up to you. Now, the reason I want you to stop the video there is that after we do the session today, it's going to be uploaded onto the website, and the website being www.bridgevid.com/sale. The whole video that we do, and it probably won't be until tomorrow morning, of this entire lesson will be uploaded to the website, and you'll be able to rewatch it again, which means if you do log off at this point and simply use that Just Declare feature, you'll be able to come back tomorrow or another day and watch the end and then go through and do the more impressive stuff. So if you did want to go play the Just Declare feature, I'll get you to leave us here, and thank you very much for joining us and good luck with it. I'd just say keep playing that until you feel quite comfortable using it, then come back to this video and watch the next bit. So bye for now, anyone who's doing Just Declare. Simply close me. If you've got your multiple tabs open, click on the X up the top on the Twitch, or if you're in your own sort of Internet Explorer or Firefox, just click on the big X and I will disappear and you won't hear any more from me. So bye for now for those people. If you're still hanging around, what we're going to do is we're going to go a bit further into the Bridgebase Online website, and I'm going to teach you a bit more about the functionality once you sign up as a member. Now, it is a little bit confusing because you've got this big red Play Bridge Now button, and you've also got this little login register button up the top here. What you always want to do, ignore that login register button. Now, just for those of you who need to know why we need to do that, there's basically two different versions of Bridgebase, and if you click on the one up here, you're going to go to the old version, which come the end of this year isn't going to be available anyway. So because you're just getting started, it's best to get you going on the new version straight away. So to do that, you need to click on Play Bridge Now, and this will bring you to a different sort of page. And you'll get a screen that looks something like this, except you won't have anything up here. So when you click on Play Bridge Now, you'll be taken to a new screen and you won't really get to see anything, a bit where it's got username and password. And half the page is also a big photo. So what you're going to need to do if you are at this point is, and I need to get out of the way of it, click on the bit that says become a member for free. And when you click on this, you'll be taken to a new screen, and I'd like you to have a go at signing up for Bridgebase Online. So the way that you do that, up the top here, you've got a username section. This will be seen by everybody on the web. So you want to choose something that you're comfortable with. We had somebody's daughter sign them up, and because they decided to get the kid to do all the technology thing, and the kid thought it'd be fun to just write Happy Pony, thinking that no one's ever going to see it. So that person's now known as Happy Pony to the rest of the world on Bridgebase Online. What will happen is if you do a username which is already taken, it's going to come up as unavailable. So what you'll need to do, maybe add some numbers at the end of it if you really want that particular name, or just come up with something different. Once you've got a unique username, it will say available here and you're good to go. The next section is password. You can type anything you like there. It's as long as you're going to remember it. And what you need to do on the next bit is reconfirm that password. So type it in again, just so they know you got it right. The next field down is email address. And they will send you an email to verify your account. So it is important that you use an email address that you can access. Now, in theory, that's all you need to do to sign up for Bridgebase Online, other than click the register button. But what I would suggest is up on the top right here, you do put a real name as well, ideally both of your names. But if you wanted to just keep it as a first name, that's fine. ACBL number, completely ignore this. This is for their American customers only. So completely ignore where it says ACBL number, and where it says other, I'd write something like new to Bridge, or you could just leave it completely blank. Then we want to go down and you want to click on novice, and lucky last, come across to your country, and let's put ourselves in Australia. Now, once you've done this, you're not going to get far at all unless you click on the I agree to the terms of service button. And once you've done that, if you've got all the information in correctly, this register button down here will turn blue. It won't be blue if you haven't filled in all the bits that you need to fill in. Now, if you click on that register button, what's going to happen is you will have a Bridgebase Online username. One thing I probably should have mentioned before you get to this point is write down that username, and also write down your password, or store them in your phone, or store them on your computer, just somewhere that you can go back to them to know what your username and password is. Now, when you do this, I believe you're automatically logged into Bridgebase. What I'm going to do is I'll log into one of the accounts that I have. So every time you come on, you'll need to log in. You can also tick this remember me box, and that way you won't have to enter in your username and password. Then you click on login, and it's taking us to the Bridgebase site. And the first thing that I would like everybody to do is just have a look at the site and get familiar with it. Now, I like to think of it that it's divided into two areas. Over here is the area that you're going to use to practice Bridge, and over here is the area that you've got that you're going to do administration. If you are on an iPad, you'll only see the area that you have to play Bridge. You won't see the admin area. Now, the important parts of admin, you've got a log off button up the top somewhere. And you've got 4 different tabs: messages, people, history, and account. They're on the right hand side if you're on a computer, but if you're on the iPad or a tablet, they're actually right at the very bottom. Now, you don't really need to know too much about the messages tab, but this is where BBO does send you a bit of news information. One tab that's going to be really important in the future is this people tab. Now, the reason that the people tab is important is this is where you add your friends. Now, you probably don't have anyone in there at the moment because you're a brand new user, but what you can do down the bottom here, and just to clarify, if you were on an iPad or tablet, you're looking at the tab along the bottom that says people. You can type in somebody's username down the bottom, and then you can click on add. Now, what I'm going to do is when we do get everybody signed up, I'm going to get you to send through your Bridgebase Online username, not your actual name, but your username that you're known as on BBO. And we're going to arrange everybody getting to add each other as friends, so that way you'll know when other people from the group are online. And it just makes it easier to contact them and basically find out where they are in terms of their tables. Just to, if you are playing along at home or watching this later and want to add somebody, what I'll get you to do is also add my username, which is LKGINNAN, and that'll be what I will usually be using to chat to you as well when I'm online. So if you had this LKGINNAN, and you put it in the tab that we've got. Sorry, I've got to find where I went. Put it in the bottom here where it says add friend and clicked on add. What'll happen is that I'll pop up here. Now, reason that this is useful is that if you were to click on my name when I appear up there, you could actually type messages to me. So my whole profile would pop up and you could type a message and say hi to me. And this is how you can chat and interact with anyone that you're playing bridge with, or you just generally need to talk to. So that was in the people tab of adding friends. Another useful one, when you play a little bit, you'll have history. This will give you your past results. But what I'd like you to do for now is click on the account tab, or if you are on a tablet, it'll be down the bottom and on the right hand side. And this would be where if you got anything wrong with your profile or you needed to change your password, you could. And just one other thing, you've got a settings bar here as well. And this is where you can turn those sound effects on and off. That's the only setting that I would really fiddle with if I were you. Okay, so just one other thing. In terms of the two areas of the screen, we've got the playing area and the admin area. We're going to leave the admin area for now. And if you wanted to get rid of the admin area completely, if you're on a computer, what you can do is click on account or click on the tab that you're already on. Sorry, if you were in history, click on history again. And it's just going to completely get rid of that and keep your playing area as the main feature. The other thing, you've got this vertical bar, and if you wanted sort of one big and one small, you can also click it, hold that click though, and you can drag it along to resize it. Now, in terms of playing on BridgeBase Online, there's a few different options that you've got. We had that Just Declare feature that I showed earlier, which if you don't want to have bidding involved, you can just play on that. If you do want to play with bidding, what you can do is click on Solitaire up here. Solitaire, not the card game Solitaire, but it's actually playing bridge by yourself, basically. Now, one area that's really useful is Bridgemaster, and I've sent through a video on the Bridgemaster topic. Once you have a BBO username, this is another way that you can access Bridgemaster. If you don't have a Bridgebase username, you can also access it through the main homepage before you've logged in. But what also happens here is that you can do these two different options, which is start a Bridge 4 game. And what this does is it gives you 4 different deals that you get to play, and the bidding is included in this. Now, the problem that we've got with our BridgeBase Online software and just generally bridge software in general is that people play all sorts of different systems, and of course they're at different stages along their learning process. Now, what this means is you will encounter situations that you haven't seen before in terms of your bridge, and you need to sort of have a go at figuring out what's going on with them. Some of them will be straightforward and simple, but some of them you will certainly be out of your comfort zone. But the good thing about this Just Play Bridge or the play a game of 4 is that what happens is you're only playing against the computer. So if you stuff up, it doesn't matter. You can just leave. It does not matter one bit. But what you'll find is that the other useful part is you can click on the meanings of bids, and they do get described up here in the top right. So what happens, I know that when my partner bid 1 club, they're promising 3 or more clubs. Now, the reason that I know that they're my partner, I'm always in South. Also, the computer stopped bidding. It's waiting for me. Whenever it's your turn to bid, you'll see these buttons pop up here, and this is how you make your bid. So if you wanted to pass, you click here. If you wanted to make a bid, which as the responder I certainly would here, and my bid should be 1 spade, I click on the 1 and then I click on the spade. But before you make that, you can also have a hover over the bid and see if that matches what you're showing. So here it'll say that if I'm bidding 1 spade, I'm promising 4 or more spades and 6 or more total points, which is definitely what I've got. So I should bid 1 spade here and we'll see what happens. So now my partner's bid 1 no trump, which this is a section that we sort of went through in our lesson, which is that this would be where my partner should have a balanced hand because they're the opener and they bid no trumps. And now I've got to figure out what I'm going to do. In terms of the explanations, they do look a bit interesting when they are presented to you, but a key feature here would be that you can see that your partner's got 12 to 14 high card points. And basically all of those numbers, 3 to 5 means they've got 3, 4 or 5 clubs, 2 to 4 diamonds means they've got 2, 3 or 4 diamonds, 2 to 4 hearts and 2 or 3 spades. It seems like a whole lot of variables, but if you see something like that, it just basically means they're balanced. They've got a few cards in each suit. So then you could figure out what you want to bid. Here, my bid should actually be 3 no trumps. You're going to have to trust me on that one, and that'll get finished. Now, what's going to happen is that in theory, I shouldn't have actually been the declarer on this hand. My partner should be the declarer, but of course, we don't need our robots to declare hands. We need to declare them ourselves. If I forget what the auction is, I can also click it over here, and to get rid of it, just simply click it again. And same as before in the just declare function, tricks that we've lost go this way and tricks that we've won go this way. Then what you do, look for that yellow bar again and you play through the hands, and in 3 no trumps, my goal should be that I'm going to take 9 tricks. And yeah, you can play through it and hopefully you'll do okay with your bidding and your play. In no trumps, you should also always be counting your tricks at the start. So I've just got 1. I can see I can take 5 tricks in spades, so that'd be 6. And I can get 3 clubs. I've got 9 tricks, so this is good. I would know I can get to 9 tricks. Because you're playing against the computer, you can certainly leave at any time. To leave, what you can do, you could just log off. But another really useful button is this home and this back button. And if you press those, you'll go back to this main playing page. Now, it certainly does involve a lot to get used to playing bridge online. It's not particularly intuitive. We're used to holding cards. We're also not used to chucking cards in the middle of the tables. Another couple of things that I just sort of point out, basically just pretty much don't go to any of these sections down here. At the moment, we'll just get you playing in the solitaire section, and ignore this instant tournaments. One thing, or the areas that you could go to, just play bridge for free, start a bridge 4 game free. There's also the weekly free instant tournament. If you play this one, you actually get compared to another 14 people, and also Bridge Master. They're the areas that I'd go to. Don't go to instant tournaments. Other than that, you can explore those areas. About solitaire bridge, just is some information about it. Personally, I don't find the BBO help files particularly useful, but you might. So whenever we want to get out of our bridge base online, we can just click on log off, and you've always got to say that you're happy to do that. And it'll bring you back to this page. But just to clarify how we got in there, what we needed to do, we needed to go bridgebase.com. Then we needed to click on Play Bridge Now, not on this login and register button up the top. And then at that point, you can type in your username and your password, or if you've actually clicked on Remember Me, it'll automatically save. And click on Login when you've got those, or if you haven't signed up yet, become a member, and you'll be taken into that main playing area. One thing you will find, especially in the morning our time, which is peak time in the US, it can run a little bit slowly just because at the moment they are getting completely overwhelmed with subscriptions and people playing online. I think normally I reckon the most people that I see is about 8,000 online. At the moment, there's 12,000 people online, and I've seen that sort of up to about 25,000. So it does run potentially a little bit slower in the mornings, but that's just because they haven't figured out all their stuff for coping with the sheer volume. So I hope you enjoyed that lesson tonight. I really want to get everybody online and comfortable with playing online, even if it is that just declare function, although I would like you to take it a bit further and try to get logged into Bridgebase Online and set up a user. Depending on how we go, if we can get most people logged in and using Bridgebase Online, what I'll be able to do in future weeks is actually get you all playing at tables and playing the hands that you would have played throughout the lesson course. But to get to that point where we can all do that, I'm going to need everybody to get their username. What I would also like when you have got a username is if you could add me as a friend. So just to go through how we did that, we got to the people area, or if you're in an iPad or something, it's at the bottom. And then to do that, you had to type in LKGINNAN and click on add. So then what will happen is in the future, when I log on, you'll see that I'm available and you could chat to me. So once you've done that, also in an email, just put down what your username is, or you could text it to me as well. That's completely fine. Or call Lorraine, or you could call me, that's fine as well, but I'll just need to get a list going of what everybody's usernames were. So if you're game to play a bit of bridge now, now's the time to do it. Just in the future, I really don't want to be doing such a very long lesson. As I mentioned, lesson 5's content is quite intensive. Lesson 6 and 7 are much nicer. And what I also want to be doing is getting you playing more and using Bridgebase more for some demonstrations. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's lesson, and congratulations on jumping into this online teaching. I know that sort of with your support and open-mindedness, the dedication of the club to keep these lessons going and get you playing, and also feel free to send me any suggestions or feedback about how we did tonight.